Right now, what you should be doing is spending time in God's Word. Because when I spend time in God's Word, then I begin to understand His language, not what I was raised in, but His language. Because let me tell you something, there's a lot of things that was programmed inside of us that we operate by and we think by that are not His way of thinking. And we need to know God's way of thinking. We need to know what He says about us and His way of doing things. And the only way for me to get that done is to spend time with Him. Now, you hear us say spending time in the Word, but I want you to understand something. Words is how we get to know one another. Yeah. If I didn't know you, then we'd have to have a conversation for me to get to know you. In other words, I would need to talk to you. You would need to talk to me. And from our dialogue, we could get to know one another. That's what the Word does for us. When I spend time in His Word, then I get an opportunity to read His Word, and His Word, it ministers back to me. It communicates back to me scenarios and situations that God or Jesus found Himself in and how He handled those situations. And when I begin to see how He handles those situations, then because the Word is alive, and it gets inside of me, then those situations begin to resonate in my mind when I'm put into similar situations or even a piece of a situation. So I'm telling you that the way that you get to this place is your constant communication with Him and allowing Him to communicate to you. It's not good enough to just pray. No. We need to pray and we need to read. Praying would be just like me going to a job and someone handing me the human resource manual, and this is the language that we utilize in the company. And I never read the human resource manual. And so when I want to do things that require me to communicate with somebody in the head of the company or in the administration of the company, and if I haven't read the human resource manual, then when I go to communicate with them, it doesn't look very good on my behalf because I'm just communicating based on what I want to know. I'm communicating based on what I want to do. And they're going to ask me things like, have you looked in your policy and procedures manual? Have you looked in your human resource manual? Then listen, I'm telling you right now that this Word is I like the way somebody put it. The Bible is the basic basic instructions before leaving earth. Yeah. Now, listen, when I read His Word gives me a great understanding of how He communicates. I learn the language that is exclusive to the parameters of our heavenly communication because I got to learn these things. I'm talking about communicating to a God that I can't see. And if I can't see Him, then how can I communicate with Him? Unless it be He gives me a language of communication, and that's what His Word is. When He gave us Jesus, I want you to hear this. He gave us a perfect package of communication with Him. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever shall believe in Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. Let me translate that. For God so loved the world that He gave us a package of word called Jesus. It was Himself in Jesus. That if we utilize these words and we believe these words, live by these words, communicate in these words, but that's what a belief system is, then you won't perish, but you'll have everlasting life. I'm telling you, get into His Word. We're going to continue on with inner healing and deliverance, but this is that place where it's going to take a little more than just a 4 or 5 minute conversation or a 4 or 5 minute meeting. You've got to get into His Word and let the bread of life nourish you spirit, soul, and body. Hey, I love you and I like what God is doing in your life. You be blessed and have a blessed and wonderful day.